Good afternoon or morning for some of us free enterprise fans. Welcome to this matinee edition of the Highway to the Threemus Zone. I am Maggie the Cat, and I am joined by our wonderful restream team. Today we have Demarine2 handling the restream for us, and Asuka424 lighting up all the buttons, doing the tracking. And I'm joined in the booth today by Antidale. Good morning, Antidale. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited to see some hot free enterprise action here this morning and wake up pretty much the perfect way you can. How are you doing today, Maggie?
Absolutely. I'm very excited as well. Got another great matchup for us here this morning. Today we're going to be featuring goldenhades versus Twisted Flax, both part of the Tritalk group. Their first race for both of them. So both currently at 0-0, both going to be looking for a win here this morning, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure both of them want to start their way towards maybe getting magma or directly to table. They have a pretty wide open group, I think, from what I remember of it. They weren't one of the groups that had a Fabul Gauntlet bracket member plunked into the middle of them. So they should be pretty much on even footing. It should be a lot of really good races out of this group.
Absolutely. Yeah, very excited to see where this group goes. I think that this is maybe only the second race for this group, so they are very early on in their racing, in the group's racing matches. So very excited to see where they are headed out from here. Taking a look at today's objectives, besides the required or the objective that's always on, which is the Forge objective, it looks like we have Return the Pan, Drop the Magma Key in the Well, and Trade Away the Pink Tail. So kind of a nice little variety of objectives there this morning as well.
Yeah, and we start with a Pelham and a Cane, so we have some pretty good offensive potential here. And we start with one of our potentially required key items with that hook.
Oh, very nice. Very nice starting party as well. Got a lot of power right out the gate here. Pelham starting right away with a single level up will start to gain his level 2 elemental spells. Kane, of course, has a lot of potential early on if you can find any kind of decent weapon for him. So I think that they're going to have a pretty good start, a potential very jetty start here.
Yeah, this is a start I would have loved to see in the Fabul Gauntlet. It's a little bit different here, where Pelham, because he learned to warp so late, and we do have the warp glitch on, Pelham's a little bit depowered just from that. So if you see an early Iridia, sometimes you'll actually see runners ditch Pelham for Iridia just because she learns warp much more easily.
Yeah, that is definitely an advantage to Rydia in this flag set. Of course, if they find a Tella, he's been a very popular character in the Threemus Zone from what I have seen so far.
Yeah, we see Bahamut guarding Rosa at the Baron Inn, along with an Earthhammer and some Dragoon armor there. And then we do see Kane and Rydia in Mysidia.
So some more casting power, some more offensive power. Of course, duplicate characters are turned on for this phase. So both of those Kanes going to bring a lot of early power to this party.
Indeed, and Twisted Flax finds a light sword just sitting in some bushes outside of Baron. That actually makes me really excited to sell, because it's not, to me, too worth it to keep Cecil just for a lightsaber, but if I find an edge, I'll be very happy to dart it, or I can sell it for a good bit of money.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen runners definitely do both. So a very nice pickup no matter what you decide to do with it. We see Twisted Flax decide to go into the Watery Pass here, and there is an edge in there. So even more power to this already pretty powered up party that we've started with.
Yeah, it's been so much fun to have Edge available early and right away. He just makes the overworld go so much faster. You can take some interesting risks and have them be a little bit safer than they would have been. Like, if I start with an Edge, I can feel pretty confident diving that Baron in fight right away.
Picks up an Elven bow as well. That's pretty nice. Besides being one of the best bows in the game, it also increases the black magic casting stats. So could potentially give it to a Palom just to increase his magic output.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Doing some more looting. This has been pretty common as well, from what I've seen, for runners to spend the first several minutes doing some heavy looting. We do have only some of the chests are available. As we see, several of the chests are open as the runners are going through doing their looting, and that's because I believe is it 60% chests are full and 40% are already empty once the seed is loaded. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're on T-Spar 60.
Yeah, so some of the chests are already open, so they do. There's a lot of. So it's not uncommon to see runners do a little bit of extra looting early on here, just to kind of fill out their inventory, since they're not getting quite as much as they normally would from these checks.
Yeah, that's a little bit counterbalanced by the fact that we are on Wildish, which does give us a higher tier access to loot, as well as increases the tiering of the loot a little bit in these tiered locations.
Yeah, which is why we have been able to see some of this really powerful early game equipment, like that lightsaber, that dragoon armor that normally would be gated in some of the higher tier spots.
And we have Edge visiting another castle rather than just Eblan Castle as a ruin. He's here in Damsian also.
So another very nice pickup. Again, another one of our flags that we have turned on is, or I guess turned off, would be the no free characters flag. So that's why all of our runners are able to pick up these characters in all of these spots, fill out their party as much as possible early on in the game. Now we do have the see buy flag turned on. So once their party is full and they decide to start dismissing characters, they won't be able to go and retrieve them. So if they do decide to get rid of an Edge or get rid of Rydia, normally, without the see buy flag, a runner could go back to Mysidia and re-recruit that character at any time. With the see buy flag on, that option is turned off. So once a character is gone, they're gone.
Yeah, it definitely makes dropping certain characters a little bit more fraught. We do have the spoon flag on, so Eddie can equip his favorite eating utensil and do lots of damage if he gets enough levels with it. And also, because we have vanilla agility on, Cecil is a little bit harder to use particularly well, and people tend to dump him pretty easily. But since Forge is an option always as a completable objective, you can have an Excalibur in every seed if you want, and that's a good enough reason to keep a Cecil.
Especially if you can find two Cecils, you could use one as an anchor and then use one as your damage dealer. It's nice if you can find that. I haven't seen that too often come up, but definitely a very nice option when it does come up. Oh, I just saw Golden Hades plus Stardust Rod out of that chest in Antlion Cave here.
Yeah, that's going to be a really nice pickup. It is the best black magic stat stick available to the runners. It also has a reusable ability to continually use the Stardust item. So it's going to power through the early game even more than Edge already does too.
And both of our runners converging on this Antlion check. This is the earliest key item check, the easiest one that they can do. So we're about to see the boss and the check momentarily here.
Looks like we just have a Mylon and some friends. Just a nice simple way to wake up. The zombies are just going to go away very, very fast with the flame available from Edge, and Mylon's going to be not too far behind.
Yeah, definitely with these two Edges. I didn't see if Kane has a decent weapon or not, but yeah, just the one swing from an Edge followed up by that flame is going to take out that encounter.
And we do see goldenhades equip a Blizzard Spear on his cane, and they've been roughly on the same loot path, so I imagine Twisted Flex has a similar thing. And we get a tower key out of that. So a key item that can lead to another key item chuck, so that's not too bad. But we do have to get underground first, and the possibility of the hook being our required way underground grows just a little bit.
Nice to have the tower key early, so then runners, once they do get underground, are not faced with the prospect of having to do keyless tower.
Yeah, it's always an interesting gamble when you don't have that tower key to decide when you want to run up all the way to the top of the tower and decide whether or not you're going to keep what's up there. Maybe have to walk it all the way back down.
Golden Hades is quickly following in Twisted Flax's footsteps, going to be taking out this Mylon and Friends fight. Meanwhile, Twisted Flax is going to be visiting Rosa in the pub here in Baron Inn. This Bahamut fight will go down very quickly, and then we're going to see what the second boss is here momentarily.
Yeah, I definitely like this play. Rosa will be a great addition to the team, really round it out, get you that white mage action and some healing, and that is a Leviathan. So the Ice 2s here are actually a little bit painful.
Now, it looks like Flax did get enough XP on his Palom to get all the level 2 spells. So between that and the edges meleeing away here, and the cane doing quite a bit of damage with the jump as well, hopefully we'll be able to get through this spot. This is a very slow spot, as we can see. This Leviathan only able to get one round off. So yeah, able to get through that without too much trouble.
Ooh, and there is an excellent cane weapon for their trouble. Gets Rosa, gets a Dragoon Spear. That's a pretty happy in. And also we saw goldenhades pick up a moon veil out of that last chest in the Antlion cave, so that'll be really nice for later.
And it looks like Golden Hades is diverging a little bit from the path that Twisted Flax took. Golden Hades is going to be checking Fabul, at least checking the shops, and I imagine is going to be checking the Fabul defense spot while here as well.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing a little bit more of the traditional Fabul gauntlet routing, starting at Antlion, is kind of going clockwise throughout the world. We'll end up probably back at the Baron Inn as the last check, unless he decides to skip Fabul or skip the Ordeals check entirely. There's not a whole lot of reason without a Cecil or a Tella to do it. There is a possibility of Demus being up there, as well as maybe a Magma Key instead, and it will be pretty fast with the edges, but it would also be a reasonable time save to just kind of ignore it.
I think that's very fair. That given what we've seen so far, to skip that, to if anything were to be skipped on the overworld, to skip Ordeals right now. And also, welcome to Gundam Pilot Spaz and Raiders.
And those illusions being in the shop there in Agert, or in Silvera, sorry, definitely show that we do have the S standard flag on. Those are normally in S Pro, would be only available in a gated shop, but here we're able to get them to you right here in the overworld with nothing to fear. They're still expensive, just like they were in the Fabul Gauntlet, 4,000 to pop to kind of replace a white mage in a pinch, but very, very useful.
Definitely going to complement that Rosa and help out with some of the, especially if they find a boss maybe in the Feymarch or on the moon that does high physical damage. And Golden Hades finishing up the Fabul defense check gets us Sand Ruby for his trouble there.
Yeah, with no free characters on, I'm a little less excited about a Sand Ruby than I usually am, but I do try to keep it in mind. It's nice to have a back pocket possible anchor when you go into the Zeromus fight, or maybe there's a second Cecil in there like you're talking about earlier, where you could use one as an agility anchor, and you can kind of also just keep that in mind. And the Sand Ruby does give you a free full heal, which I have used in a pinch.
Yeah, that's a very good point. There are certain checks and certain spots where you can go to heal, and sometimes if you don't have any better options, it's better to just route that in. If you haven't found something like cabins, or you don't have access to the big whale where you can get a full heal easily.
And that was a heck of a fast Dark Elf fight, courtesy of that Dragoon Spear. The second form is a dragon. The Dragoon Spear says, "Hi, I would like to introduce you to extra damage."
Very, very quickly dispatched there by Twisted Flax, going to be picking up the Sand Ruby on his side. Golden Hades going to go pick up Rosa in the inn here. So now we're going to see what they decide to do. I think that they are basically left with either climbing Ordeals to do the last overworld check, or start to dive that hook route.
Yeah, I don't think either runner's done any of the checks for our good old friend Derek Mist, the Mist Dragon, who can be hiding anywhere here in the overworld and uh, could have that magma key. I've seen D-Mist up on Hobbs a lot so far. I'm sure that's a bit of confirmation bias, but it's really interesting that almost nobody checks Hobbs because you don't need to get a character very often. And yet D-Mist is just sitting there chilling, waiting out there right in the overworld for you, right out in the open even.
That's a really good spot. It's not uncommon for runners to route the Mist Cave and the boss of the waterfall into their checks, but um, I could see real easily on these flags forgetting or missing the Hobbs check, just because you don't think to go out of your way to do it, and you don't need to do it because you don't need an extra character.
Yeah, I usually only route it in when I feel like I want someone different in my party. Um, and Zoomwaffle asking in chat, why does D-Mist matter? Normally in the vanilla game, Edward gives you the Twin Harp when he's in Troya in bed. And by default, when you have no key item, or when you have all the freebies turned on in Free Enterprise, he continues to have a key item. However, we have the no free key item flag turned on, which does give you does give a key item to Rydia's mom after you defeat D-Mist in the field.
Right, so it does introduce a little bit of a boss hunt into this flag set, so that D-Mist could have nothing, or it could have a required item. It could have the pan that is required for their second objective. It could have the magma key, which would just be an easier way to the underground. Or it could be nothing, and it could be in any of the boss locations. I did see Twisted Flax check the bed in Kaipo to potentially cash in that Sand Ruby. It was one of the twins. I did not really catch which one. It's hard to tell when they're making a real quick check and it's one of the twins, but I didn't see which one it was. But it was one of the twins in bed there.
Yeah, I could never tell when they're in bed. I know that there's ways, I just never have paid attention enough. And here we have Golden Hades going into Castle Eblan, doing some extra looting. The loot here is really good, and even the trap chests are really good. It's I would love to have a mute knife for this particular fight, because those mad ogres are considered mages, and so an edge with a mute knife is going to absolutely do wonderful things for you against them.
Yeah, and besides having a lot of good loot in this location, the 3 trapped chests in here, this Bad Ogre fight being one of them, provide quite a bit of XP. And if the runners at this point, at less than 20 minutes in, are thinking of diving the hook route, they're going to probably need a little bit of extra XP. There are a couple of trapped chests in Cave Eblan and the Tower of Babel along the way to the hook route, but if they're thinking that they maybe need a little bit extra, this Castle Eblan provides both XP and some really valuable items along the way.
And speaking of valuable items, Twisted Flax in the item shop here in Eblan Cave finds both coffins and hourglasses. Again, we're on a standard, so we do have a greater availability of shop loot. And so those are items that Golden Hades could have used to great effect against those mad ogres, stop them, and as them read notes in chat, that some wine stealing could have happened. Edge can steal, and we do have the Japanese item tables from the vanilla Japanese version of the game, so you can steal things like sirens and Bacchus wine and other fun goodies from various places.
Yeah, that's a very valuable shop. Now, Hades did get through that fight. A couple of his characters were KO'd at the end of it, so did not get XP on them, but did get some really valuable XP on the rest of his party. So that's definitely going to help with the rest of the fights in here for his survivability. Also picked up an Excalibur out of the chest, the trapped chest with the ogres. So that's going to be great for one of his edges to dart.
And has picked up a white robe and a ribbon and a longsword out of chests without having to fight anything also. That's been really nice. Meanwhile, Twisted Flax runs into the Staleman chest. Those hourglasses are going to be super helpful for this. The Staleman have some pretty good defenses, and They are nicely vulnerable to ice, so if you had picked up an Ice Claw or maybe cast some Ice too, Stardust should probably do pretty well too.
Yes, and the scariest thing I think about the Stalemen is that their punches can randomly put your characters to sleep. So stopping them with the hourglasses is very valuable here so that they don't sleep lock your party.
Yeah, this fight can turn on a dime with a couple of poorly timed sleeps against important characters.
The Staleman fight does not give a lot of XP. I think it is the lowest XP spot of all the trapped chests in the Eblan area. 4,200 for the two of them there. But this could lead to a really valuable key item. We could be pulling out a Masamune, an Artemis bow. That's really nice for Rosa.
Yeah, Rosa's definitely very happy to get her hands on that bow and start pew-pewing all over the place. Meanwhile, on Golden Hades' side, one Edge is turned against the other team, courtesy of that Lamia. Things aren't looking super great with Edge attacking Edge.
Ooh, yeah, that's tough. Okay, so so the Edges are both uncharmed now, but that Black Cat is doing some pretty nasty damage to them.
Yeah, Edges should be pretty fast. They get some life potions off. As long as it keeps attacking the back Edge, things should be okay. And then we have a Porum in the Vanilla Edge location here. Goodbye, Porum.
Yeah, with a Rosa already on the team and having picked up that Rosa really early so she can start to gain XP, unfortunately, I think we're going to see Porum benched. Sorry, Demarine.
Yeah, well, that's a very good recovery. Gets XP on all the characters for Golden Hades, so nicely done.
Yeah, that was a very nicely executed fight by Golden Hades. Good recovery.
It looks like he feels that is quite enough out of the Eblan Castle, doesn't want to continue looting the entire place, and starts continuing on the hook route.
I don't blame him. The last trapped chest in there is I think it's a Staleman and 3 Skulgers or Skulls, and that's a pretty nasty fight. 5 enemies attacking pretty quickly. You can't life glitch anything except the Staleman. That could go south really quickly.
Yeah, I'm a little more tempted to do it with Edge because Flame will probably take all of the skeleton skull enemies away, and then you just left with the one Staleman. But it's still not a super fun fight.
I saw Twisted Flax pull a defense sword out of one of the untrapped chests here in Tower of Babel, which will be really nice for his cane. He does already have the Dragoon Spear on, but Defense Sword is still a really nice weapon, so it has another option here for his cane to equip, and it looks like he did put it on. Now he's in this 4 Mad Ogre fight, which is kind of the big grind fight on the hook route here. Has popped an Hourglass, so even though his Palom is down, he doesn't have anything to worry about now that these ogres have been stopped.
Yeah, there's plenty of time to get Palom up and get everything ready for himself. Would be hoping to get Quake out of this fight on Palom, and Berserk or Blink for Rosa would be my main goals out of this. We'll see if the XP curve and the amount of XP that they've gotten so far is there for it. They did skip ordeals, both runners did, so they're a little bit shy on XP if they had done the entire overworld. And with that Dark Elf sitting in Fabul, they didn't get the full XP out of there either.
So they are going to be getting extra, well, at least Twisted Flax is going to be getting some extra XP out of this Mad Ogre fight, thanks to that life glitch. Do you want to maybe explain, Antidale, why a runner would use a life potion or the life spell on an enemy as it's dying?
Sure. In Final Fantasy IV and for Enterprise in general, when you cast life on something, it gets back the amount of HP equal to, I believe, 5 times its vitality. In this case, all monsters have a vitality of 0. So it comes right back. It comes back to life and then instantly dies because it has 0 HP, and you get credit for that. If you cast Life 2 on it, because Life 2 works a little bit differently, it will come back as full HP. So you wouldn't get credit for it immediately dying. You'd have to kill it again. But here, since those monsters did indeed live again for a brief moment, Twisted Flax got XP for killing them twice, effectively.
Yep, and that's what we call the life glitch. And they so Twisted Flax, having life glitched 3 of the 4 Mad Ogres, essentially got XP for 7 Mad Ogres out of that 4 Mad Ogre chest. So that's why that chest is very valuable for XP along this hook route. Mad Ogres by default give quite a bit of XP, and when you can life glitch 3 of the 4 of them, you get even more out of it. And for that chest, he did get a Zeus gauntlet, very valuable to put on either Kane or Edge. I believe he put it on his edge, one of his edges.
And he runs into Dr. Dialogue. The Dr. Luge fight, there's a lot of talking here. It's a little slow and obnoxious because of it. Also, I believe that we had seen a Thunderclaw earlier in the seed in a shop, and Twisted Flax had passed up on it, if I remember Jeebus in chat pointing that out correctly. The Thunderclaw here would be really nice because both Balnab and the final Dr. Luge form in the second fight are weak to thunder, or are weak to lightning-based physical damage. So that would make this fight a little bit easier if you had happened to keep that Thunderclaw and have it equipped.
I keep saying Thunderclaw is the best weapon in the game. Too bad they haven't found it yet. It's so powerful that it's been nerfed. It's been taken out.
Yeah, it's such a huge damage multiplier for Edge because a short sword isn't really going to add that much, and Dr. Luge's forms are doubly weak to lightning, so they're actually, you'll get 4 times the amount of damage than you normally would. So that adds up real fast.
Even without the Thunderclaw, Dr. Luggage is not posing too much of a threat in this spot. The spot it can be scary for certain bosses. Dark Knight Cecil comes to mind immediately, but Dr. Luge is not particularly difficult in this spot. Yeah, we see Twisted Flax takes him down. Would have been a little bit faster with that Thunderclaw, as Antlion mentioned, but still not very scary there.
Then Twisted Flax will treat us to a little bit of a poison walk here, as he retreats from Mom to have a quick save. Mom's a little bit obnoxious in this spot because not only does this have about 25,000 HP, Mom gets extra HP and will explode into little bombs. So I don't think we'll see an explode skip in this particular phase. I don't think there's just quite enough damage out of this party at this point in time in the game.
Yeah, I think it's wise for Twisted Flax to go take that safety save. It does take a couple extra seconds, but if anything goes south in this fight, it'll save having to redo that Luge fight, which is, as you talked about, that's a lot of dialogue. That would be a long fight to have to sit through again if he were to have to either reset or something happens in this Mom fight.
Yeah, although I do see Rosa does have Berserk. So it's possible to get everyone going fast enough that we could get the skip. I'm not quite sure that there'll be quite enough damage because this is a pretty fast spot, and with Palom as Toad there as your anchor, it looks like we have a theme of SMRPG on Twisted Flex's side for all the naming. I just don't know if we'll be able to get through the extra HP in time before they explode, but it's possible. He's putting out a pretty respectable amount of damage here.
Yeah, and Palom adding extra damage as well with Virus. Didn't quite get to Quake, but Virus definitely kind of the first milestone of Palom's big spells. So adding quite a bit of damage with that as well. Ooh, but his White Mage goes down. That's a little bit of a problem. I think everybody except Palom is berserked, so hopefully he can get a life potion up on Rosa to revive her.
And looks instead to be keeping the damage up. Life will be throwing a Cure 2 on Kane. We'll see if there's enough here.
Golden Hades is right on Twisted Flax's heels here. I saw that he got through the Luge fight, but did not take the safety save. So hopefully he can get through this without any trouble.
Yes, and well done by Twisted Flax. Proved me totally wrong. Gets through without an explode. Rosen doesn't seem to be picked up in time, unless I missed it, but definitely is through the hook route at a solid 28 minutes.
That's a very respectable, very fast time to be breaking into the underground with a hook route. Oh, and there's our demist, Twisted Flax, taking a peek. If you take a few steps to the right there as you're walking down toward the Falcon, you can see the boss at the top of the tower, and we see that it is that demist. So that's some very valuable information.
Yeah, that definitely makes me prioritize that tower key and just going to do the entire tower. Demist will be a little bit slow there, but not too bad.
Yeah, that's a potential 3 key item check. Since they do already have the tower key, they can do that cannon room, they can do top of tower, and then once they defeat Demist, they'll be able to turn Demist in for a potential key item as well. So that all of a sudden becomes a very valuable check.
Yeah, I could absolutely see doing a quick hunt around for some sirens here. Kane with that Dragoon Spear will absolutely make some wonderful scrambled eggs for you, and there indeed are the sirens. Do a couple eggs, and then go charge up that tower and get 3 key item checks done pretty quickly.
Absolutely. We'll see if Twisted Flax takes a moment to show us our job dwarf here. Was that a...
Yeah, I think it's a community health nurse.
Thank you, Twisted Flax, being a runner of the people, showing us what we want to see while you're here in Tamra.
Yes, and the game clearly knew that Twisted Flax was going to do that check and did reward him with those sirens.
Going straight over to the little spot on the west side of the underground here. This little strip of land, if you use a siren here, will summon an egg, which, if it hatches, will turn into a yellow dragon, which is pretty difficult. But if you stop it or use a coffin on it, which he's pulling his coffins forward, or hit it with something like a Dragoon Spear or a Dragon Whip, or Artemis arrows that do damage multipliers against dragons and are able to one-shot it, the egg can't hatch. And as you can see, this egg gives a lot of XP. Just with one egg, this party is gaining 3, 4, 5 levels.
Yeah, 34,000 XP at this point in the game is absolutely nothing to sneeze at. And when you get to 10 key items, if the runners happen to, and their XP doubles, then the 68,000 that you'd get out of this is also really amazing, and it can really facilitate one of the fastest grinds in free enterprise.
Meanwhile, Golden Hades has gotten through the big explode, but oh no, oh, that is so unfortunate to see.
Yeah, that hurts a lot. A lot of time that we'll just have to reinvest in going through Lugia again. Maybe Golden Hades will go back and save in between this time, just to maybe not have to fight Lugia a third time.
He was so close too. He had already damaged the little bombs. I saw him cast an AoE. I think it was Blitz with one of his edges. He had gotten down to 2 of the little bombs, but I think that last edge was berserked, so he had no control over what he could do with that last edge. He was doing respectable damage with it, but then after a couple of rounds, those little bombs will explode, and they exploded for enough damage to take his last edge down. So that was a very unfortunate turn for Golden Hades.
Yeah, fortunately for Twisted Flax, he found the Warrior's chest here in the Feymarch very, very soon. So now you can just loot freely through the rest of it, and there's some pretty quality loot here. And I love seeing that Warrior's in the first chest that I opened.
Ooh, just picked up a ribbon. That's a really nice find. I think that the ribbon that we've seen so far was out of Castle Eblan, which Golden Hades did, but I don't think Twisted Flax did. So that's a nice pickup for Twisted Flax.
Yeah, I think you're right. Each runner does have a ribbon, and each from different locations.
All right, about to see what this key item in the Feymarch key item chest is. Ah, that's a legend sword.
All right, so we are down to needing a total of 4 key items in order to complete the game at bare minimum. We still need a way to get to Zeromus, so either through the Darkness Crystal key item that counts towards the key items for experience or the pass. We still need either the Pinktail or the Adamant to complete either the first or fourth objectives, and then we need a Pan and a Magma Key.
Yeah, so still a variety of ways that this seed can be completed. We'll see if we can find an early adamant and maybe forge. Finding an Excalibur would be really nice for edged dart. Or if maybe if that adamant is really well hidden and the rest of the key items are available, they may just end up doing the other objectives instead.
This is a fairly free Feymarch, except that if the board face AI is up to snuff today, that water hag could absolutely take out this entire team before 3 hit attacks do hit.
And going in with only 1 HP on his party, he didn't heal before this. Now that water hag hits for a lot of damage, don't get me wrong, but his back row edge may be able to tank a couple, like 1 hit, if he had healed up.
And also, the rename was absolutely perfect there. Anna scaring us, and then the water hag doing the rest of the job, knocking the party out entirely.
Yeah, so Twisted Flax gonna try this again. Does pop a tent here to get his HP back. I'm probably gonna go in for round 2 here.
Yeah, and a question in chat from Pepita69XXX. Why is Chinese Pigtails so popular? Pigtail in this flag set doesn't give you adamant armor, but it does give you a top tier 7 gear. And in this particular case, it's one of our 4 objectives. So I would definitely be very happy to do Pigtail in this seed, because it could give me like a Masamune or a white shirt, although I think we've already found one. But you can get some really good gear, some that you could sell or maybe throw if you get an Excalibur out of there.
I think is Avenger considered is in that loot pile as well?
It very well could be. I actually, like, there's a certain bit where it gets fuzzy, and I had played enough of Will Gauntlet where it's just like tier 6 and 7 were hard to find anyway. That
right.
They got lumped in my brain.
Golden Hades is back on the Little Bombs fight here, and I believe he just threw an Hourglass. So this is looking very good for him. And speaking of an Avenger...
Yeah, I am not displeased with that reward. The Avenger Sword is wonderful because it gives an automatic Berserk, and you can kind of manipulate it a little bit, where if you switch it, switch from your other weapon to the Avenger, then you can keep the stats of your other weapons. And Revenant Fate in chat asking, does Flax have a curse string, or is he doing YOLO agility? Pretty sure it's YOLO agility. I don't think I've seen a curse string anywhere. The only thing I've seen is a Dwarf axe to do any agility manipulation at all.
Not even bothering to save after picking up that Avenger, going straight into this Dark Imps fight. He does have a stack of coffins. He probably has hourglasses too if he wanted to throw one to stop them. I think that he's got enough coffins queued up now to take all 3 of these Dark Imps down, so he should be fine.
Indeed, and there is the 3rd coffin from Kane. Dark Imps are done. Just spend a little bit of gold and get your levels.
Meanwhile, Golden Hades was able to take down that Mom Bomb fight, is about to launch his Falcon here, and has now broken into the underground. So very nicely done by Golden Hades, catching up on that Mom Bomb fight.
Yep, and we get some very valuable to sell armor out of that Dark Imps fight. Pretty much, I think he picked up about 15,000 gold pieces out of that.
Yeah, so spent a little money on the sirens, or rather on the coffins, and is going to get some of that back with that crystal armor. Probably got some levels out of that. So mainly got peace of mind that the Feymarch is now clear. He does not have to come back here for anything.
Yeah, never having to walk into Feymarch is a really great feeling. And as Artesia points out, also picked up a free crystal armor out of a chest. So definitely a very valuable trip into the Feymarch in terms of picking up a couple crystal armors to sell and just the knowledge that you never, ever, ever have to walk back in there.
Golden Hades is essentially following in Flax's same path. He went immediately to Tomra, saw the sirens, picked up a stack of those, and is now going to be popping a couple of eggs here to get a few more levels on his party. And then we'll see what he does from there. Of course, Feymarch is a very viable option in this seed, as we have already seen on Flax's side. But we did talk about that tower play as well. And of course, we have this Dwarf Castle. Now, I believe that Flax decided to hold off on doing Dwarf Castle because he wanted to get Warp on Palom, which the fights in the Feymarch yielded enough XP for Palom to get Warp. Maybe Golden Hades will get enough XP from eggs to get Warp and he'll go straight to Dwarf Castle. So we've got a lot of options now that this underground is open to both of our runners.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'd see Twisted Flax taking a quick reset because he realized he was on battle speed 5, which is nearly Wyvern standard time. Definitely, Twisted Flax had changed the battle speed a little bit to give him more time to put inputs in during some of those Feymarch fights since they do hit so hard, and he doesn't have a terribly well-defended party at the moment. But Baigan here in the dull spot isn't quite as scary and should be able to get through it a little bit more easily than those Feymarch fights.
Yeah, especially he's got Quake on his Pelham, and Quake can keep the arms in check while his meleeers can be doing damage to the body.
Yep, and there's that Quake cast you're talking about earlier. It will also go through any walls that Baigan puts up on himself, so it's really nice to just be able to have Quake in your party for this and just continually spam it throughout the fight.
Yeah, the arms are pretty nasty because they will continue to attack. One of them does a drain attack. So while they are spawned, this fight can be pretty rough. But if you can keep them in check with an AoE spell like Quake, or I think Quake is the best thing, then it makes the fight much more manageable, because then Baigan has to also spend a round recovering them as well.
Yeah, I love making Baigan spend times recovering them and just giving you extra time to do stuff. Here we have an Antlion, and a second Cane tries to join the party and then goes away.
Golden Hades has decided to forego Feymarch for now, or anything else, and has gone straight to Dwarf Castle. So we see our runners side by side here. I didn't see if his Palom has Warp yet. It looks like he's pretty comparable. He's pretty close in HP, at least, to Twisted Flax's Palom. So he might have enough levels to have. He might have gotten enough levels to get Warp on the egg grind that he just did.
Yeah, and if he doesn't, there's still a good bit of XP here, 20,000 and 25,000 in these two fights. Should be able to pick it up if he's a little bit short. But yeah, if Palom is learning tier 3 spells, he does already have Warp. It's all good. One Antlion leaves, one Antlion enters.
All right, so we are going to get one key item check here. So the way that this works is that the King of the Dwarves gives a key item check by default once you defeat the bosses here. But with the flags that we have turned on, you can also warp from the King's throne room chamber into the crystal chamber in the sealed cave, which is what Twisted Flax just did, and picked up the key item from the sealed cave without having to use the Luca key. And he picked up the magma key, which is an item that he needs as an objective.
Yeah, that's got to feel real good to pick that out of there. And it does get a package too, so that's another key item. Putting Twisted Flex up to 6, it looks like, which is most of the way there to getting the 10 key items, slightly over half, really. And I would be very unsurprised to go see a dive into the tower for those 3 key item checks up there.
Doing a little bit of looting, a little bit of shopping, while Golden Hades finishes up his Dwarf Castle check, is about to pick up both of the key items from this check as well.
Something that I haven't really seen yet is a shop selling good ninja gear. We saw the Thunderclaws earlier, but haven't seen any like long blades or ninja swords that are kind of the stuff that I'm looking for to kind of power up Edge. Do you think you'd be looking to maybe drop an Edge at some point if you can't find it, since we do have 2 good cane weapons if we get another cane somewhere?
That's a really good point, and we have seen a couple of extra canes. It's hard to say because Edge does start out really good. His starting gear is good, but you kind of would like an upgrade for the Zeromus fight, and definitely a Dragoon Spear and a Defense Sword and an Avenger I would consider to be, Zeromus ready weapons for Kane. But you've already kind of done some grinding, so that's hard to pick. I guess maybe after they're both going into Tower of Babel here, maybe see if you get anything good out of this, and then make your decision from there. Maybe see what character is on the moon if you get a Darkness Crystal out of this.
Yeah, that's a very reasonable kind of flowchart there. And one interesting thing with here in the Lower Babel, the alert monster trap chests are weak to their machines, so they're weak to lightning-based physical damage as well as like hammers from Sid. They're very easy to kill in one shot if you have, say, a Thunderclaw and an Edge or an Earth Hammer and a Sid. And the loot you get out of those trap chests is pretty solid. Plus, if you have Edge in this particular flag set, you can also steal Sirens. Our runners don't need to steal them. They're able to purchase all that they can afford. But it's an interesting thing to keep in mind if maybe you're looking to outfit some Edges or Canes or other people, that you can do the trap chest in here pretty quickly if you're going to be in the tower anyway.
That's a really, really good point. I was thinking traps chests in here, like it looks like both of our runners are skipping the chests in here, maybe because they don't want to take the time to deal with the traps chests. But yes, the traps chests in here are pretty easy anyway, and even easier with the equipment that you mentioned.
I know PK787 likes to kind of run in here and just pull crystal swords out of here just willy-nilly. It's kind of amazing how you can find them in trap chests fairly often.
All right, so this demist fight, we talked about this just briefly earlier. This is going to be a little bit of a long fight. This spot has a pretty reasonable amount of HP. And as we see now on Golden Hades' side, Demist, after 3 rounds of attacking, is going to turn into Mist. And it's going to be immune to any kind of attacking. Spells, attacks, jumps, anything. So you kind of just have to sit here and wait it out. It'll turn back into its dragon form, and then you can attack again until it attacks 3 times, and then it'll turn back into Mist. So it's just kind of a long fight, especially with the HP in this spot.
Yeah, Palin's Quakes, you can see doing some really good work here. 3,000 from each runner against Team Mist. Definitely going to help chew through that HP total. But it is going to be a slog. We'll probably see 2 transformations maybe for each runner.
And you might think, this is a dragon, right? Won't that Dragoon Spear do extra damage to it? And you'd be wrong.
Yeah, not everything is what it says it is in the tin. It must just be a Mist property and not a D. That's probably why we call him Derek Mist instead of Dragon Mist.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, there are several creatures in this game that you would think would be considered dragons, and they're not. Like, they look like dragons, or they maybe even have dragon in their name. They're not actually considered dragons by programming purposes. So, welcome to Final Fantasy IV Programming Edition, where the programming gets a little bit wonky sometimes.
Yeah, I think my favorite one is that Wyvern is a dragon and Bahamut is not.
Oh, yes, I love that.
But Deem is down on the left-hand side for Golden Hades, so we'll see what key item we get from the actual spot first, and then probably a run down to the tower cannon room. That was a white spear, so more really good cane gear.
Yeah, even more game is just like shouting, take a cane, go find another cane. Here, take some more cane equipment.
Yep. And Hupfin in chat pointing out that CPU is not a machine is also one of the other really great but head scratchy, wait, what? Kind of who is what in the classifications in Final Fantasy IV.
So Golden Hades still has to do this cannon room check. This was Rubicant. I believe Twisted Flax did it on his way up, so he's going to go straight down to collect his key items. Both of our runners neck and neck at this point.
Yeah, Flax is pretty much just up the Legend Sword and the XP you get out of Feymarch. There really wasn't anything else terribly worthwhile from that dive.
Yeah, whereas Golden Hades, I think, did a couple extra eggs, so got the XP from there instead. The Legend Sword was out of the free chest in Feymarch, so if he were to do that and skip the bosses, that would be a real quick check. Of course, he doesn't know that the bosses don't contain any valuable key items, so he might decide to do them anyway at some point, but we'll see what this yields on where they decide to go from here.
So it'll be really interesting to see if maybe the Dark Crystal is just sitting up on ordeals.
That would be funny. All right, chat. Get your freeing harps out.
Yes, we found chat's favorite key item and the runner's probably least favorite in general to check. It can be a really interesting meta check in case you know whether or not your opponent either does or doesn't tend to do music, and whether or not you want to gamble on that time sink of that long cutscene and walking into and out of Cave Magnus.
So Flax here is doing Sheila 1. Went and talked to Yang, doesn't have the pan, so now is going to go back up to talk to Sheila, Yang's wife in Fabul, to get a potential key item out of this. I hope he doesn't forget to talk to Radia's mom. That can be something that if you don't go and turn that Demus check in right away, you can forget about it really, really easily.
Yeah, I will absolutely agree, and I have done that a number of times, even doing the fight saying don't forget, don't forget, don't forget, and then wait like 5 more checks before I go turn it in.
Yep, and it turns out to be something like your pan that you could have gone and gotten that right away.
Yeah, I do overall like the routing of going into Sylph Cave anyway, but I probably would have wanted to check Demist first before actually coming up here, just in case I happened to the pan, so I didn't have to walk in here 3 times.
Well, there's the pan. You always run the risk of holding off doing the Sheila checks because you are hoping to find a pan, hoping to find a pan, hoping to find a pan, and then the pan turns out to be at Sheila 1.
Yeah, I mean, she needed to cook some breakfast, so...
That's very true. This was an early race. She needed time to scramble those eggs for us.
What do you think Sheila's best dish is? I mean, we know she's got a spoon and a pan, so I don't know what other kind of kitchen implements she has around or what she can scrounge up.
What do you make with a spoon and a pan? I mean, scrambled eggs, you can probably make scrambled eggs with a spoon and a pan. Plus, you got the eggs, like, right there.
Yeah, that's entirely plausible. Or the best dish in all of Free Enterprise. And a pass. So Way to Zeromus is checked off.
And they don't necessarily need a darkness crystal. There's nothing on the moon in their objectives.
No, absolutely not. We've got the pan to turn in for another 2 key item checks, and we've got the twin harp to turn in for a third. So we still have 3 key items that we can find here on Earth at least. Whether or not the Baron Key or Earth Crystal maybe show up behind those.
Comment in chat that Flax now has 9 key items. That is technically true. However, the pass does not count as a key item for purposes of getting double XP. So Twisted Flax still only has 8 key items for that purpose of getting that double XP. When runners get to 10 key items, they will get double XP, and the pass doesn't count toward that. So he does still need 2 more key items to get that double XP boost.
Ooh, and I missed what it was, but chat saying an Earth Crystal was the reward for bonking Yang. That's really spicy. We can then go and turn that into Troya. We'll get a couple character checks. That's not the super valuable thing. How do you feel about treasuries, Maggie?
Wow. So yeah, Troya has got a pretty amazing treasury. With that Earth Crystal, it opens up a really big treasury that has, I can't even tell you how many chests in it, and they are the best, I think the best untrapped chests in the game. So if you're looking for some edge weapons, that's the place you want to go right now.
Yeah, and our runner's finally doing a little bit of more overworld shopping and finding life potions and cure 3s here in Agard, which is really nice to see.
And our tracker, Asuka, gets to hit the first objective button at about 55 minutes in as Twisted Flax drops that magma key into the well and makes the third objective light up and flash on Twisted Flax's side.
Yeah, it looks like the lure of easy free bosses is too much for both of our runners. They are both doing both of these free bosses here. Unfortunately, not great rewards, but we'll definitely be happy, like I said earlier, to never visit Feymarch again this seed.
Yeah, and Golden Hades has a few more levels than Flax did, so I think maybe have just a little bit easier time with these bosses, not having... I think that Flax had to reset out of it, and I don't think that Hades has had to do that.
And Sheila gives the Baron Key. That's another 3 item checks. So Twisted Flax has 4 available key item checks here still on the Earth.
And also completes his second objective. So all of a sudden went from 0 to 2 just like that with those 2 checks. Needs now only a pink tail or an adamant in order to forge with that legend sword to complete his 3 of 4 objectives.
Yeah, and I was wrong when I said they had 4 key item checks left. There's actually 5. I forgot about our deals, but Twisted Flax didn't and is heading up.
Oh yes, this kind of abandoned key item check that has been sitting here for the last hour, haunting them. We're about to find out. This is going to be a real easy check now that they've got the levels that they have obtained. They could potentially pick up an anchor here with the Cecil too if they want to take him.
Yeah, but that's a hard no from Twisted Flax. A very fast rejection of Cecil, who is just wandering around lonely on this mountaintop. And Eagle Eye 3 in chat asking if the tournament drop goals from 5 to 4. We actually changed this from the Fabul Gauntlet, which was do 5, complete all 5. But Boardface had given us the 4.1 update of Free Enterprise, which lets us have a number of completable objectives and to only have to complete a certain subset of them. So in this case, we give you one set objective every time. Runners will always have the option of forging the Excalibur from Legend Sword and Adamant, and then they'll have 3 random objectives, and then they have to only complete 3 of those total 4 objectives in order to get the crystal and be able to defeat Zeromus. I know I've been really interested in seeing the different routes and seeing people come with very close times, completing totally different objective sets.
Yeah, it's always fun to see the routing, and especially if runners end up doing different objectives to get to their crystal. That's always fun. And also with the free characters turned on, we often see different party setups as well.
Maggie, I think Seth's a little bit angry at being ditched from the party.
Yeah, it sure looks like it, doesn't it?
He's here in the back attack spot giving us a speech about how you should really have let him join the party or something. I don't know. I kind of ignore him when he starts talking.
Yeah, he's saying that this is not justice and we need to go find the way. And now we're just going to shove him off this bridge. This is rude.
Yeah, it's a little bit mean. I mean, he's a valuable member of the party sometimes.
He just wanted to turn into a paladin, and we're going to go enter this crystal chamber without him.
You just hear him screaming, "My destiny," as he falls off the bridge. That was a real quick reset. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't what Twisted Flex was looking for.
It was a Luca key.
Well, yeah, that's totally unnecessary since Flax has the 10 key items for the full XP and has already gotten that magma key from the sealed cave and already knows that Demas is dead.
Yep, so no reason at all to keep that key item. There is another boss in there that is real quick and real easy, but if that boss is something like Golbez, trying to think if there's any other trolley bosses. Golbez would be the worst. Anything that is long, Alt Gauntlet would be really bad. That you don't want to sit through. That's fair to just reset out of that and be like, nah, I don't need to be here anymore.
It looks like Twisted Flax is checking armor shops pretty stringently, probably looking for a curse ring. Maggie, why is a curse ring so good?
So Curse Ring has really awful stats. It decreases all of your stats by like 15, I want to say. But so you would think that why would you ever equip this? It's awful. It's like it's just bad. Why would you do that? But the really valuable thing about the Curse Ring is that it does decrease your agility, and when you don't have Cecil in your party, the agility of the enemies is based on the agility of the character in your middle spot. So if you decrease that character's agility, it decreases the enemy's agility, so that all the rest of your party is going to go a lot faster. So having something like a curse ring on your middle slot character so that their agility is really low will actually essentially speed up the rest of your party compared to the enemies.
I've heard agility anchoring in Final Fantasy IV is sorcery. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I tried to explain it kind of in the best and easiest terms as possible, but like you could write a book about it if you knew more about it than I do.
So chat, get ready to write a book. I'm sure collectively we could all write that book together.
That would be great. I would like to read that because then I'd probably learn something.
I know the things that runners like Simbu and Jeepus and a couple other people in the community who really intimately know the system and have a great feel for it as well as technical knowledge is really amazing.
Yeah, and if you really know how to manipulate agility, as we kind of call it, you can do some pretty magical things. As you said, it's sorcery.
And the Baron guards, sick of just being in the inn drinking coffee, decide to just usurp the throne today.
They said they want better wages, so they're gonna come in and just take over and do what they want.
Ooh, and Golden Hades over in Troya going to that treasury.
There's that crystal sword we've been talking about.
Yeah, a couple of life staffs, some Artemis arrows.
Still no ninja swords, though.
Yeah, it's definitely not what I would actually be looking for out of there. You got a lot of money, and Rose is going to be very friendly with that those life staves and keep her upright during the Zeromus fight at the end.
So we have a little bit more divergence here with Flax finishing up this Baron check. Also going to be opening up the Odin throne now that he's into Baron Castle, whereas Hades, having looted the Troya treasury, is now going to be going up Tower of Zot with his Earth Crystal.
Ooh, and a rat tail from the Pod and Baron. The key items continue.
I like these chains that we're getting.
Yeah, as a runner, I'd be like, why are my key items increasing?
Normally you wouldn't say that. Normally you're like always happy to find all the key items. And you're like, this is the wrong, it's not the one that I wanted.
Now, my favorite NPC interaction of the game could be happening, where we could get turn in the rat tail, and then get the pink tail, which we'd immediately turn back in. Nope, that's a shiny darkness rock.
Well, that opens up the entire moon, which now possibly could have one or even both of the remaining key items that they need to get their crystal. Meanwhile, over on Golden Hades' side, we have run into everybody's favorite Trollbez.
Yeah, this is not super pleasant, just from a total time sink perspective. We now have to watch the Shadow Dragon munch on 3 of our characters. It's just real slow. And since we didn't know Golbez was here and didn't reset out, we don't have any time to prepare our characters. Ooh, it looks like Shadow Dragon tried to eat someone with a ribbon, and that sure doesn't work.
So keeps 3 of the party members alive. This isn't a difficult spot with the levels that Golden Hades has, so I don't imagine that he's going to have any trouble getting through this fight. It's just long. Golbez talks a lot, as you said, and now he actually has to fight and sit through all the magic animations that Golbez is going to throw at his party as well.
And then it looks like the Queen of the Feymarch is really the king of Baron Castle, sitting in the Odin throne. If Rosa has any mute arrows to go with, or Rosa definitely does have an elven bow, I think, could make this a little bit of a faster fight.
If they kept the elven bow, I know they picked up the Artemis bow, so it's possible that Flax sold the elven bow, especially if they were trying to afford like the sirens and the Cure 3s that we've seen. But yeah, that elven bow does hit mage type enemies when it's equipped.
Golden Hades does get Golbez to utter a letter twice, saying why, and is gone. And here we have a Rosa in the normal cane spot up in the tower.
So Tower of Zot does give 2 character checks and a key item check. This is a very valuable check when the no free characters flag is turned on. However, since we already do have a full party and this party is pretty well leveled up, I don't know that we're going to be taking either this Rosa or this Sid, unless maybe Hades wants an anchor at this point.
Yeah, I'd be a little bit tempted to keep Sid for an agility anchor, and maybe also Rosa to have double berserkers and double white mages for a Z fight. Um, there's definitely some options, but looks like Hades is totally good with his party, and will just keep it on the regular.
And we find a Karate Man as the last or second boss up here. If either of our characters had found that Cecil and upgraded him to a paladin, they could wait until after Karate Man kicks twice and then bonk him with Cecil to instantly end this fight. However, it looks like that Quake is going to do the job instead.
And just to complete the mix-up summon triumvirate, Twisted Flax gets a Leviathan summon from the Asura boss at the Odin spot location.
Okay, y'all got that straight? There's going to be a quiz at the end of this seed.
And Twisted Flax land in Troya, goes to do some shopping. We'll see if the routing is the 2-for-1 of do the harp and then route that into doing Zot. And I missed the Zot. Looks like that's a go mode.
That was indeed a pink tail. So Golden Hades is now in go mode. He has the Magna Key. He hasn't dropped it yet, but that's very, very quick. And he's got the pink tail. So once he does both of those, he will have his crystal.
Yeah, it never does Baron, so never has to get the Darkness Crystal, which could be a horrible rabbit hole for Twisted Flax, although Twisted Flax looks like it probably won't be rabbit hole too badly.
Yeah, looks like he is making the right check here. Twisted Flax does have the option of grinding up on the moon if he wants to, whereas Golden Hades might decide just to pop some more eggs if he needs any more levels.
Yeah, since neither runner has summoned the big whale, I think doing eggs for the rest of the levels is probably the right call. Just summoning the whale and then flying up to the moon is a not inconsiderable amount of time.
It was interesting that we haven't seen a Tella at all in the runs that I have seen, which admittedly I haven't watched all of them, but Tella has been a very popular character, and doing something in the giant, like a manipulated D machine grind has been a very popular grind option that I've seen so far.
Yeah, those new manipulations really make it interesting. We do have the can't run flag on, which doesn't come into huge effect. And there's a Bahamut summon for the Pinktail, so that's kind of nice for the Rydia that nobody kept. But we do have the can't run flag on, which means that if you get into a random encounter, you can't run away from it. You can absolutely use that to run buffer things that you normally couldn't. But you have to either fight or reset out of any random encounter you get. And with that meant the Mac Giant and D Machine grinds that we had before were a little less valuable because they relied on fighting things or running away from things in the Giant itself. But Twisted Flax actually had gotten some data from Simbu and had organized some brand new charts. Unfortunately, Twisted Flax doesn't need to use the output of their work and is doing some Twin Harp checks.
Well, this is going to be chat's favorite check for sure. Everybody loves to hear some music. Unfortunately, well, this could lead to adamant. This could still be okay for Flax. If this is the adamant, then he's okay. Otherwise, we're gonna have to hope that he decides to do Zot right after he finishes this up.
Yeah, and Golden Hades is keeping Palom alive. Didn't take an anchor out of Zot. Could have an interesting Z fight with Palom's agility. He takes quite a while to get to 28. Why is 28 a magic number?
Yeah, so you for the Zeromus fight specifically, you are looking to have your middle character, who we refer to as your agility anchor, to be any multiplier of 14 that will manipulate Zeromus' agility in the best way possible. But it looks like we're just about to start getting some music from Spoony B here, so I'm going to go quiet so everybody can listen to these tunes. Oh, settle in, chat. We got a while of music to go.
Yeah, this is really great for chat and really great for our ears. A little less great for Twisted Flex if this doesn't give him the adamant.
So I believe this is the last fight on Twisted Flax's screen. This has been the alt gauntlet battle that he has been working his way through. Normally, we would call this the Fabul gauntlet, which would be the 6 encounters that you would face during the Fabul defense. With the alt gauntlet flag on, you instead face 5 random encounters. Well, not random, but they're set encounters from the location that the boss is found in. So in this case, from the Magnus Cave.
And unfortunately for Twisted Flex, that's just a charm rod.
That was a really unfortunate bust on Twisted Flax's side. Really nice to hear music. That was a great song. I wasn't familiar with it, but I think chat was saying it was from Arcana. Really nice rendition on harp. And now it looks like Twisted Flax is going to be going up Zot, so is on the right track to get his pink tail now.
Yeah, it looks like goldenhades might be all done grinding. Is out of doing those eggs that were going so smoothly, and is up in Troya, ready to turn in the pass.
Just doing a little bit last minute shopping here and turning in that pass. So with that pass, this is a little shortcut to Zeromus. Normally, you would need to take the Darkness Crystal and walk through the Lunar Subterrane to get to Zeromus. But with that pass, we were going to go directly to Zeromus's chamber. And I see some emotes coming out in chat, Antidale. What does this mean? I think we have a question we might have to ask here in a moment.
Yeah, so Zeromus, you might notice that we don't move where Zeromus is. Zeromus is a very good fit here. So instead of changing where Zeromus is, we change who Zeromus is. And so, Maggie, whose butt are we going to kick today?
Our wonderful artist and art developer Scala Kitty has helped our community freshen Zeromus up by developing over 450 Z sprites now that he can transform into once you throw the crystal at him. And we are about to see what Zeromus's true form is this afternoon.
And because of Twisted's agility anchoring situation with Edge being very fast, he was actually able to knock off all his other characters before the Shadow Dragon came out, which is pretty neat.
Oh, very nice. Yes. So he's going to skip a little bit of this cutscene
and is absolutely perfect for our restreamers. We have Lobstermus.
This is perfect for Demarine. Yes, Demarine rolled this. Perfect.
And unless something's changed, this is the only Z sprite that is in the pool twice.
I did not know that. That's a neat piece of trivia.
Scala has the deep lore on that, so if Scala would like to explain that in chat, she, of course, can always feel free. But from what I remember of when this came up in an RPG's Valkyrie thing, that this is actually in the pool twice.
So it looks like darting with edge, nuking with Palom. Ooh, Palom took that counter nuke right to the face. Ouch.
Yeah, on some level, this looks kind of like some of the Z fights I had as a kid when I was playing this originally, before I knew anything about a script or anything. Gerard Cassive nuked at Zeromus, lots of darts, and Rosa just doing healing.
It's a valid way to get through the fight if these are the resources that you have. I think Rosa is just kind of on healing duty right now. It would be great if she could get a Berserk off on at least one of the edges. I don't think that the runners ever found Bacchus wines, so the edges cannot Berserk themselves. That, of course, would be ideal if they had found that resource.
Yeah, and Eternal 887 in chat asking, doesn't Golden Hades still have to forge a Legend Sword? And in this tournament, we decided to only make people do 3 of the 4 objectives in order to get their crystal. So it's been really interesting to watch people route things differently and have different go modes.
The Avenger is definitely a boon here because it does auto berserk the character who has it equipped, so that Kane is just swinging away. Don't have to worry about him. Don't have to worry about inputting his attacks. Does get another berserk up on one of the edges. That's going to help with the damage output quite a bit here.
Yeah, both helping with the damage output and helping kind of buffer attacks. The Final Fantasy IV's system works so that only kind of one thing can happen at a time. There's a bunch of timers that go off and when they expire, and only one like battle action can happen at a time. So when your berserkers don't have to go into the queue for you to manually input inputs, they just go directly into the I'm going to do something queue. That means that they're kind of taking up that slot of one timer expiring at a time. So you get a little bit of a boost, and you get to slow down Zeromus a little bit more than you normally would with those berserked actions.
Hades doing a really excellent job of nerfing the Big Bangs. Antadale, can you kind of explain what nerfing Big Bangs, like how that works?
Yeah, so magic damage from enemies, it depends all on the spell power of both the spell and the magic power of the caster. And so Zeromus' script, when he does a nuke, which is a super powerful spell and does a lot of damage, actually changes Zeromus' spell power down to make it so it doesn't absolutely wipe you off the face of the planet when he uses it against that single target. And if you time it correctly, that means that Zeromus in the normal script does a shake and then does a wait and then set spell power for the Big Bang. So if you can time it to where Zeromus would counter nuke after it has set the spell power for the Big Bang, you actually then get to use the spell power that's set for the nuke instead of the spell power for the Big Bang. And there's a dramatic difference between the two of them and makes it so that you take about half the damage.
Yeah, we've seen he hasn't gotten the nerf off on all of them, but there was one really critical one where Rosa had taken a nuke and had taken about 1,000 damage from that nuke, and then had nerfed the Big Bang, so she only took about 700 damage from the Big Bang, and that saved his White Mage. Very, very impressive to get the nerfs off. as he has been timing them correctly here.
Yeah, and the first nerf is pretty free. Zeromus doesn't set any spell power for the initial Big Bang, so as soon as Zeromus transforms, as soon as you land any sort of spell effect on him, he'll change his spell power to the lower version, and then Big Bang off of that. But then once you get into the script, that's when he kind of varies a little bit. Make sure it's set specifically. While Golden Hades is taking on Lobster Miss, Twisted Flax is going in and doing the final grind to prepare for this Zeromus fight.
He looks like he's, I was going to say fairly close, but his Rosa's got about 1,300 HP. You want her at least 2,000. We see that on Golden Hades' side, she has about 23. That's really safe from a full power Big Bang. So anywhere in like the 21 to 2,300 range, HP on your Rosa is kind of the safe range.
Yeah, your rule of thumb with Big Bangs is that they can do at most 2,400 or 2,700. There's a couple different spell powers that come into play in the script if they're unnerfed and you take the highest rolls possible. So 2,700 is always safe from a Big Bang. 2,400 is fairly safe. And Rosa, being a mage, gets some really good magic defense and has some magic boosting gear, or magic stat boosting gear, which makes her take less damage and gives her ability to dodge some of the rolls of the Big Bang. So your casters are a little bit safer at some lower HP totals, which is good because they get fewer HP.
Oh, and we are seeing rocks fall on Golden Hades' side. This is the last phase of the Zeromus fight, usually when he has about 10,000, maybe 12,000 HP left.
Yeah, I think it kicks in around 12,000, like the next point in time when Zeromus gets to do things once he's underneath that threshold. So you can go as little as like 1 or 2,000, depending on how your damage rolls happened. But we are in the home stretch. This could be a swag white to finish it.
Oh, very nice. And there is the flash. GG to Golden Hades for finishing up that Zeromus fight and taking first place on his first run of the Tritalk group.
Yeah, GG's to Golden Hades, going 1-0 so far. The runners here in this first stage are looking to go, really hoping to go 3-0 so they get straight into the table, or 2-1 so they get into the Magma group, which will have a little bit of an easier route into the Zeromus, into the table, because there's just more slots open from there. No matter what people are doing in this first round, they'll always be able to do 3 more games to the next group stage. So your route here, or your performance here, really determines how easy of a time you have to try and get into the table from this stage.
Meanwhile, it looks like Flax might be just about done with his grind. He's coming up from the underworld, might be doing just a little bit of last minute purchasing, or maybe he's looking for an anchor here. Going to go turn this Sand Ruby in, as we talked about early on. Kept that kind of in his back pocket to turn in to manipulate his agility after doing his grind here.
We'll see if we can get Golden Hades into here for an interview.
Hello, Hall.
Hello, GG's on your first place win.
Thanks. And that Mom Bomb death pains me.
That was a little bit of a rough fight for you. What did you think of the routing of this seed? You didn't have a whole lot open to you on the overworld to begin with. Basically, just the initial 4 checks.
Yeah, it was alright. I did not really mind. Since I have no Cecile or Tela, I was not wanting to do ordeal, so Hook was alright. I just forgot for the Mom Bomb that the little one can be stopped. I just remember like half battle. But for the rotating, it was alright. No real deal.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it set you back for a little bit, but then you made some really good choices, and that Feymarch was nice and easy for you when you went and did it, and you remember that you could stop the Dark Imps there. What do you think about the seed as a whole? Did you enjoy not having Tella or Cecil and having no reason to go up to ordeals?
Yeah, it was fun. And well, I get Excalibur, don't care, throw it. Light Sword, don't care, throw it. I will not take it to Zeromus. It will maybe killing his first boss faster, so faster overall.
Yeah, you had a very clean Zeromus fight, considering the resources that you had. I don't think that you ever really found, I don't think either of you ever really found a super powerful edge weapon. You had some really good equipment for Kane, and that Avenger certainly helped you, but you made really good use of the resources that you had available to you for that Zeromus fight.
Yeah, and I was not I did not want to search for more powerful item to make like 200-300 more damage. Was not worth it. The best maybe I could have done is going back to Eblan to buy Ninja Star, sell everything, get Ninja Star. Maybe that would have make it a little faster, but I was not sure about that.
Yeah, the Ninja Stars are pretty decent throwable items, but they kind of lose their potency at the very end.
If I remember correctly, they do like 3,000 to 4,000 on Zeromus. So if you count my 1 key damage for edge, well, maybe it would help a little, but
Did you think about taking either of those characters in Zot, Rosa for a second white mage, or maybe Sid to go with a low agility anchor strat for Zeromus?
Just I could have taken Sid, but I totally forgot about agility anchor. I just don't want. I have my party.
Yeah, it looked like Kane was doing a really good job for you. I'm not sure what agility he was actually at, but Zeromus was very, very well controlled there in that fight.
Well, it was a weird number. I think it was like 36, so not one of the great number. I was just checking agility. It seemed like my more competent. Put them here.
Yeah, and the nice thing with having a couple edges is they're even faster than Kane, I believe. So that kind of would help out a little bit with making them probably relative agility 4 during the fight. And Zeromus would be 2, and then if you get a Silk Web out, we'd put it into 4. So that'll keep it pretty maintainable.
Yeah.
Were you getting nervous at all without seeing Darkness Crystal and just seeing all those chains and all the key items pop up on Earth?
I was nervous. At the start, it was alright, but at the start of my first death of Mom Bomb, I was starting to get nervous, and I'm behind. Well, I was thinking I'll go do Lower Babel, Young, and that's all. Then I just take Siren to get Warp, to get Palom, to have Warp to be able to do Dwarf Castle, and after, too bad, I go to Feymarch. And when I kill a do boss and get like Crystal Armor and something other, I'm behind, I must go there. And at the end, I have the Baron key, and the Earth Crystal. I know Baron got 2 spots and Earth only 1, so but if you do Earth first, you teleport back at Baron. That's why I do it that way. And I got Rat Tail at the tower, so I was go mode after that.
Yeah, I was definitely going to ask about that, about your routing there, because you had Twin Harp, Earth Crystal, and Baron Key all there as possible options, and you happened to choose the absolutely perfect one. Baron had the Rat Tail, which turned into Darkness Crystal, and Twin Harp turned into nothing useful at all.
Yeah, I was lucky about that, but I was doing the tower, and after the 2 Baron check, and after I will have checked what I had in my hands. Probably I've gone to the moon since you have higher probability to get either Element or the other Right Tail there.
Well, you have 2 more matches with the remaining members of your group. Do you have either of those scheduled yet?
Yes, tomorrow at 7 and Monday at 7 p.m. and Monday at 4 p.m. 3 in 3 days.
Oh, okay, wonderful. So getting them all knocked out all at once. Well, good luck on the rest of your matches. We'll definitely be keeping an eye out and hoping to see more from you. I know that they just scheduled Sunday's matches. I haven't actually, the restreams for Sunday's matches, I haven't actually looked at them yet.
Thanks. And just to say, after the end, I have gone back to play the harp song.
Oh, very good. Thank you very much for that. I know chat always loves getting extra music. Twisted Flax did check music during the race and is going into Zeromus right now for a second time.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for letting us restream you, and thanks for a great race. GG's on taking first place, and good luck to you on the rest of the tournament.
Thanks.
Absolutely, GG. And that was Golden Hades, and GG again to him, going 1-0 so far, first match of the tournament for him. And now we're going to turn back to Twisted Flax. He did take a very unfortunate wipe on his first attempt at Lobstermus here. So he's going back in, just about to throw the crystal and make a second try here.
Yeah, it looks like Twisted Flax has refreshed his Palom. That 100 HP means they probably did go to check the Standard Bee and get the Palom from there. Palom will now be very, very slow, which will help kind of bound the agility. Zeromus can't be any faster than 1, and Palom should be slow enough that all the rest of his team is also at relative agility 1, so they're all acting as fast as they possibly can, which will definitely help the second attempt. And Palom, not having a good morning, wakes up out of bed and gets a pretty much immediate nuke to the face. And while this fight's going on, again, want to thank Asaga424 for doing the tracking and Demarine2 for doing the restreaming today. They put on a great show and don't get enough love for all the behind-the-scenes work that those tasks do.
Yeah, we have had an amazing outpouring from our volunteer team for the start of this tournament. It's basically just the end of week 1, and it's been amazing what our volunteers have come out to do for us this week. So thank you to all of our volunteers for all of your time and generosity. We wouldn't be able to bring these shows to all of our fans without all of our volunteers. So that Palom taking the nuke is actually probably the best possible outcome. If any of his other characters had taken that nuke, then of course he would have had to heal that damage up whereas Palom is not actually going to be contributing any damage to this fight. Palom's contribution is to hold down the floor and be the agility anchor. So taking that nuke was actually probably the best contribution that Palom could have done for this fight.
Yeah, that's definitely the single job that Palom had. Looks like Twisted Flax is going for a nerf. Rosa takes that nuke to the face, but survives with 27 HP in a dream. And I know that edge has a Cure 3 just ready for Rosa, so this is looking pretty good.
Oh yeah, real nice. She's got the Cure 4 queued up. We'll see if everybody can survive. Oh yeah, she's got that Cure 4 out before the Big Bang comes up, so everybody should be good for this next Big Bang that's about to come out.
Yeah, it looks like we did get into a phase transition. If you do hit Zeromus to get to a certain HP total, if Zeromus shook, you can sometimes get what some people call a fake shake, to where Zeromus kind of cancels out of one part of the script and goes into the second phase instead.
Getting the last Berserk up on the second edge there, so as all of the melee attackers Berserked now, gonna take this Big Bang. Everybody should survive. Yeah, that Rosa with all those magic defense equipment and stats that we were talking about earlier, able to take that.
Yeah, and some pretty good damage coming out from the rest of the team too. See high 2000s from Kane, looks like a low 3 from one of the edges. Not quite 2000 from the other edge, but should be doing some pretty good damage, and hopefully doesn't get into the super rude combo platter that we can occasionally see, where you go directly from Big Bang into Meteor with kind of no buffer in between. But I think this is not a damage total where you have to worry about that.
And Gambit in chat pointing out that we do have a number of matches already scheduled this weekend. There are 2 more scheduled already today for Restream, and a total of 4 tomorrow. So definitely keep an eye on our Discord and on the Highway to the Threemus Zone website for all of those matches. And now we see rocks falling on Twisted Flax's side.
Yeah, so Twisted Flax in the home stretch here. Rosa doing a Cure 4 just to top everyone off. There won't be a second round of rocks to knock that Kane down. Everything should be good to go.
And there's the flash. Twisted Flax wrapping up this fight with a lobster miss. GG to him for finishing up this seed, coming in second place.
And I believe we'll have Twisted Flax in shortly for an interview. And we are joined by Twisted Flax. GG's Twisted Flax. Although Twisted might be away from the computer for just a second, so hold on a moment. Oh, there's typing. But Maggie, I think that was a very good race from the runners. Twisted just happened to make a couple extra checks that weren't needed, which kind of really sunk their chances there.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of randomizers like this. If the Adamant had been at the Twin Heart check and Cave Magnus, this would have been an even closer race. As it were, this was a very tight race throughout the whole thing. Our runners neck and neck and side by side throughout most of their checks. So, as we say, rando gonna rando. I think both of our runners played excellently, and both showing the level of talent and skill that we have in this tournament this year.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, great. There
Welcome,
we go.
and GG to your finish, Twisted Flax.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Discord resettled me like 2 seconds before the race started, so I had to do some juggling to get all the options correct. Thank you.
Yeah, Discord sure does love to reset your chosen options, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, GG on that race. That was very well run. Just unfortunate for you, like we were saying, that none of your checks that you made before the Earth Crystal panned out for you.
No, unfortunately, it felt that I was spinning my wheels there for about 20 minutes or so, going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole. And I'm going to take a wild guess and say that my opponent didn't have the same luxury of going through those lovely checks.
Yeah, Golden Hades did not. He said he felt a little bit behind because he did wipe to Mom Bomb there at the hook where you didn't, and said he was feeling behind, so did a little bit of a gamble and decided to route. Once you both were done with the underworld, decided to go up Zot, where you went to Ordeals and then to Baron.
That will do it. Well played to him.
What do you think of the overall layout of the flags in this tournament? Do you like the objectives, and do you like the flags that are presented?
It's really fascinating because you have no idea what you're getting into before you race. It could be a really fast seed where just a couple checks in and you're in go mode, or it could be a situation where you are hunting overworld, underworld, moon, trying to find that last or either of the last objectives that you need. And with the agility flag, Cecil's power is a little bit nerfed. You don't have Fusia to rely on. I think that the development team and the tournament moderators have done an excellent job finding a challenging flag set for us to race.
Speaking of Cecil, how did you feel about Cecil on Ordeals and then him trying to join the party or be angry about you ditching him?
Yeah, I paid for that a little bit, didn't I? I mean, by that point, my party was set, and I hadn't seen any really decent swords. I think I also have a light sword for him, so it really wasn't a possibility of having him come into the party at that point.
Yeah, and certainly not taking Cecil is a valid option with that vanilla anchoring, as we talked about, unless maybe you find two of them. I know a lot of people are in that kind of mindset where they don't want a Cecil unless they find two Cecils.
I'm kind of the same way. I basically, if I don't have something that's strong as a crystal sword, I'll be very, very reluctant to take just one Cecil onto my team. It's just too fiddly, requires a lot more finesse than just a standard anchor eating the floor during the Zeromus fight.
Yes, and Palom did a great job showing what an anchor can do eating the floor for you in that second Zeromus fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Never found Cursed Ring, so my only option was to get a low level character and just have him do his job there.
Do you have any other thoughts? Oh, go ahead, Maggie.
Oh, I was just going to ask, do you have the rest of your matches scheduled with the rest of Tri-Talk team?
Not yet. I'm going to do that very shortly. I just wanted to get this first one under my belt and then see where to go from there. I know we have two more weeks left to race. I just didn't want to get it all done very early. I wanted to sort of spread it out and enjoy it.
Absolutely. That's definitely what we were looking for. Give you plenty of time to schedule these and have fun with it. That's certainly what we want every racer to do with this, is just to have as much fun with the tournament as they can.
And despite the results here, I did have a lot of fun.
Yeah, how did you feel where you didn't have to use any of those grind charts that you put together?
I was ready to roll one of them out because I figured that you guys would be expecting me to use them, but I never saw Tella. Didn't get the Dark Crystal way late. Sirens were plentiful. Money was plentiful. Never really had a problem with experience.
Well, hope you get to table and then can make great use of them there, because I'm sure they will come in super handy in many of the races once you get to table.
Yes, thank you.
Any other final thoughts for the seed?
No, actually, honestly, it was a relatively straightforward and easy seed for most of it. You had good characters, you had decent enough equipment. The boss locations were not difficult. That hook route could have been a lot more difficult than it actually was. And it did just come down to making a good guess on part of my opponent. So congratulations to him, and good luck to him for the rest of his races.
And good luck to you on the rest of yours, and hope you have a good, fun tournament, and that we'll see you again soon.
Thank you very much. And by the way, thank you to Aunt Dale, Maggie. Thanks for commentating and demoing Oscar behind the scenes. Great job, everyone.
Absolutely, and thank you for having us restream your match.
And thank you, Maggie, for being up here in the booth with me. It's been a blast, as always.
Oh, absolutely. Always a pleasure to watch some early free enterprise, and this was definitely a fun race. As we said, we have a number of other races happening today. Three total, rather, including this one, 2 more that are going to be restreamed at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. We have got 1 more here on the Free Enterprise channel, and then at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, we have one on Randomania. So keep an eye out for those, and then check the schedule for tomorrow's races. Any last comments, Antadale?
No, just excited to see those races later on in the day. It's good to have a little bit of a break. It's been super hectic with all of the wonderful racing going on so far, and just looking forward to the next couple weeks of this stage of the tournament, and watching everyone play and grow and get a little bit better at the game and get more familiar with the flags.
Absolutely. So it looks like we are going to be rating Invenerable, who is, of course, the winner of the Fabul Gauntlet and is going to be participating in the Threemus Zone later on in the table stage. So let's go cheer him on and wish him well. And hopefully we will see you all back here later tonight for the 7 o'clock race.